This is Nuage Networks SD-WAN Service Portal seen from a CSP user perspective. Now, let's go inside a particular branch. Branch level capabilities. Let's come back to the dashboard and pick one branch. Let's pick New Jersey. Click on New Jersey. This is going to present a dashboard for the New Jersey branch. It's going to give you the basic details of the branch. An alarm view for the branch. No alarms open now for this branch. Depending on the number of uplinks, a number of gauges will show up here. In this case, I've got two uplinks. Both of them are broadband, internet and internet. One of them is active. It shows you details like what is the current download. We can also change it to uploads. What is the upload and download for this particular uplink? Let's say I have a third uplink, which is an auxiliary. Then a third gauge will show up here. It's seamless. There's also a view that shows you the top applications running at this branch, as well as if the branch participates in a number of different L3 domains or L3 networks. Also, what is the traffic that we're seeing on these different L3 networks? This is a branch-level dashboard. Within the branch, you can also go and look at the actual device that has been placed here. In this particular case, we have a device and it's going to give you the details of the device here. It's also going to give you the current CPU, memory, and storage that is being used by this device. That's the current view, but you can also look at the historical view. If there are any CPU spikes over the last day or the last few hours, we can see that very clearly. Then there's the port view, WAN view, and a LAN view as well. The WAN view is the one that shows you the external facing ports. So port 1 is the first broadband. Port 2 will be your second broadband. It shows you the attributes for those ports as well. So we have a bunch of options. As soon as you hover over those rows, you have an option where you can click on this and set up things from here. For example, this is my first uplink. I'm able to change it to 12. This controls the gauge that shows on the front dashboard. So on the front dashboard, if you have 100 megabits per second gauge setting, but the traffic is actually only coming as 5 megabits per second, we kind of take the scale down a little. We can do it here. There's also a second option where the user can do other things like set the type of connection. A PPPoE, a static connection, or a dynamic connection. You can change the role of the uplink, whether it's a primary or a secondary, as well as the uplink order. 1, 2, or 3. If this is an auxiliary uplink, you can enable this to true, and then you get an option of the mode of the uplink, which is whether this is a hot standby output. If there are underlay capabilities enabled over this uplink, then that is also configurable whether it is disabled, whether it is default, which is NAT, or routing, or whether it is route to underlay or NAT to underlay. That option is also available. Then the underlay tag, which is the tag that is assigned to this underlay. In this case, it's the internet. That was the WAN view. Then you have the LAN view. In case of LAN, here we have additional configuration, so we can do the same thing. You can change and add description on a particular port. In this case, within the port I have the individual VLANs that have been created, which then get mapped to subnets. Here, there's one subnet that has been created. 192.168.1.0/24 has been mapped to VLAN 100. We can add a new VLAN. So basically, if you have a second subnet, you can go and create a new VLAN. Let's call it 66. Once that VLAN gets added, we can link it to a subnet. We can pick the type of network we want. Let's say L3. Within L3, you can pick one of the demo networks, and if there are any subnets available. In this case, this one. Then we have an option of whether we want a bridge or a host. And then there you go. If it was a host, we would have noticed it here as well. Over here, you also have an option of assigning egress policies. In this particular case, you have no egress policies assigned to you right now in the demo system. But if there are egress policies that have been assigned to this organization by the CSP user, those would be available over here. Now, if you want to just clean up, you can just clean up. Let's delete this VLAN. It has already been linked, so it's not allowed. Let's go and delink it first. Unlink it. Once we unlink it, we can go and delete it. That's VLAN management. This is device. Now we can go into uplinks. Uplinks are the two uplinks that show you traffic. This is aggregate traffic across the two uplinks. In this particular case, we've got primary inbound traffic. The portal talks in the form of inbound and outbound because it is an enterprise dashboard. Enterprises want to know things from the context of a branch or a data center or a headquarter as compared to a CSP user who is more concerned about talking from a network point of view. So that's all about network ingress and network egress. These terms are reversed in the case of portal, so a network ingress is branch outbound and a network egress is branch inbound. This is just an enterprise-friendly term that came up as part of our US research. We also have an option to look at applications. This is total traffic across the two uplinks. If you want to look at your applications, you can switch to an application-centric view. If you're not in a network context, this basically shows you the top applications in the form of detected applications, signatures. But if you want to look at specific applications, the applications that you as a user have defined, then you can do that. Go to Application Groups, and within here, you can look at any applications that I would call premium applications. Here, you have a few premium applications. For example, WebEx is a premium application. That's how you've classified it. WebEx is showing up on one uplink. In a real deployment, what would happen is WebEx as a premium application would typically ride over an MPLS uplink, and that's where it would typically stay. So we see WebEx traffic nicely flowing on one uplink. In case of MPLS's failure, which typically is rare, you would see an activity switch and the MPLS would start showing up on the second uplink. That is the typical use of this kind of side-by-side view of uplinks. You can also look at the access side of things. These are your access ports. If you have multiple VLANs, what is the traffic you're seeing on those VLANs? That view is also available. If you look at applications in detail, the usage option runs the application details report in the context of this particular branch. So here, if you're not in a network context, it's going to just give you your top signatures or discovered applications. But if you switch over to a network context, let's say demo network, you can pick from New Jersey branch to any particular branch. If you want to see what applications are running between two branches, you can do that as well. By default, I'm seeing from New Jersey to all branches. You can go and select, let's say, application groups. Discovered applications are the signatures. Application groups are defined applications. I'm going to pick application groups. Then, I'm going to look at all the application groups, not specifically picked application groups. When I run the report, it's going to give me application groups. Applications go to the default application group, and because we want to show how many of the signatures are unmapped, we still keep the default bucket. But these are the specific applications that we have defined and how much traffic is flowing against each of them. Then the last view for the branch is the alarms view. Again, we don't have any alarms open here, but if there are any alarms for this branch, they would show up here. Thank you for watching this Nuage Networks demo. For more information on the SD-WAN Service Portal, visit nuagenetworks.net/platform/SD-WAN Service Portal.